call our order of the meeting at 7 p.m. And we have maybe I can speak for just a moment before I get you all up here, but we have a special honor tonight that we have Cub Scout Troop number 25 from Putnam that will be here to join us for our Pledge of Allegiance. And it's a pleasure having you here tonight. We like seeing young folks being involved and coming to the town hall to meet us and talk with us and let us know what's going on in the community. You've become your young leaders now. You become very important leaders in the future. So, you know, just to have you be here tonight is a thrill for me, and I appreciate it very much. And, would you gentlemen like to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Would you lead us? Thank you. Would any of you guys have questions for us this evening? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the community right now, what your projects are, and maybe a little bit about your badge tonight that you're looking to earn. Sure, stand right up.
I'm not really sure how to say this, but we kind of sell popcorn and everything.
Oh boy! The rich guys up there. That front row has got a lot of money. They buy a lot of stuff.
Very good. He has been spending a lot of time selling popcorn.
I had the distinct honor of buying some popcorn a week or two ago that, from what I'm told, will be in December.
Yes,
And my wife's already warned me that I can't eat any of it. But every year I do buy popcorn, so, you know, to support the troops and whatnot.
Thank you.
You're a valuable asset to this town, and I congratulate you on your efforts and the badges that you're earning. And you know, it's an awesome endeavor. And would you like to say something?
Well, yeah, our boys work very hard with their popcorn because we try to send every boy to
camp.
And I'd say in the last in the last 3 years, we sold over $50,000 in popcorn.
Wow.
One of the top sellers in our district. In fact, we went from $3,000 one year to $20,700 the next year.
Wow.
And then it's been a little tough since to get up to that 20,000 point. But yeah, our boys are really good and very dedicated, and they love camp.
Yeah.
So.
Now, what camp?
And thank you to the community who have purchased popcorn.
What camp do you go to?
You can say it, Josh.
We go to Dan Webster in Ashburn.
I've been out to that camp a couple of times. I had the pleasure of being invited out for lunch a year or two ago to see the activities that were going on out there, and it's truly it's its own community.
Oh, it is.
It's wonderful to see.
They served over 1,300 boys this summer.
Wow.
The highest ever.
Wonderful effort.
Yeah.
Yes,
I was one of the first campers to go there.
I can't believe that dog does.
You were when you still puts 1960.
I know they have a whole building now on the history of the area.
That's awesome.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, bring a uniform, Doug.
Lost weight, but not that much.
We'll have to invite you when we are getting.
That's good. Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going in.
I'm gonna try to sell the most popcorn this year.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Good to you.
Yeah. Now, what do you do to market your popcorn? Do you go door to door?
They go door to door.
Yeah.
There's also online sales.
Yeah.
And then we do the show and sells, which has really been helpful because outside the stores. And I have to say that Tractor Supply has been just overwhelmingly generous
Yeah.
for us.
Wonderful.
Letting us go there. Like we were we lost all of our other Lowe's and our other Walmart with the reconstruction, so.
Yeah.
It's been tough this year, but I think we're gonna, do pretty well.
Putnam is a wonderful community, and they find a way to make things happen.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
nice to know that that also occurs with the
Oh,
Cub Scouts
yeah,
and Boy Scouts.
yes, it does.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's also been, what to say, each year we have this little thing where when we sell popcorn, and all of us get the prize.
Oh.
Let's hear our prizes.
The first group is, I think the third place was, I forget, but the second year,
Just tell 'em what you got last year.
well, last year I got these pair of binoculars in second
All right.
place.
Boy Scout binoculars.
You're moving up now.
And we got a tent, so.
Well, again, guys, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you. Item number 3 is public comment. Would there be public comment this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Kim Gilbert, 62 Ross Hill Road. I just have a question, not a comment.
Sure.
What is the purpose of the ash landfill closure fund?
And I know we had our town treasurer here.
It, the ordinance says it's for closure costs for the landfill, although we won't have them, but basically it's supposed to defray taxes once the landfill is closed. That's how it was sold.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, Dan.
Dan Lucier, 145 Woodstock Avenue. I see our building official is here tonight, so maybe he'd be able to answer a couple questions that I have. He recently wrote a letter to Lowe's asking for some documentation on some truss for the garage. Actually, the letter says, can you please provide me, Town of Putnam building official, with some engineered documentation of the truss for Andy's garage roof system. Okay? Apparently Andy came in and wrote a letter, I believe it was for the building official. It says, I, Andy Karayan, was unable to get truss engineering, so now I'm going to use 2x8 rafters for my garage. Whatever it says something after apparently these truss were not engineered. We can agree on that, I think. The problem I have, now this letter was just recently, it was October 18th. Andy's was October 19th.
September.
9/19?
September.
I'm sorry, okay. July 7th, July 17th, I had filed a complaint as far as the garage goes. On this complaint, underneath Mr. Post signed off, it says the truss are engineered. Now, I would like to know why Mr. Post is writing to Lowe's on behalf, if he's writing on behalf of the town, when the documentation is definitely supposed to be handed in, as I explained before, when the plans are handed in. Something's not right. I need an explanation of why he's asking for truss documentation. It's not his garage. The owner's supposed to do it, and if he's doing it as a town official, that's fine. But why ask for why ask for documentation in September when in July you signed off saying they were engineered?
Dan, what I'll do is, we do have Lee on the menu tonight under item 9, and we'll address him at that point.
Okay, might still have some more. The last meeting we were gonna do a third-party inspection. He was supposed to get in touch.
Yeah.
I was curious to know how we're doing with that.
Can I address that? I did talk to Doug, and we have done a little bit of work with that. I guess from what Doug has found out, we need something documented by you requesting that be done.
Okay,
We can't on our own, I guess, make that request, but if it's made by a citizen,
okay,
then we can process that request.
okay.
Am I right, Doug? Roger?
It has to be pretty specific in terms of,
Yep.
the code that is in violation, that type of thing.
Now, would that be with the state building officials office?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we did investigate that, Dan, and that's the course that was suggested that we follow.
Okay, and I was just curious about how come I wasn't informed. When was this?
Doug and I
Right after the
talked.
meeting.
Yeah,
Right after the meeting.
yeah,
Right after the
Not
meeting?
after the meeting, but, the next day.
within a few days.
Okay, all right. The third floor on 137, 139 Woodstock Avenue is still being occupied. And I would like to know what's going on with that, if any fines have been levied, handed out. I know there was a letter issued by Attorney St. Ange.
There was a cease and desist order, from what I remember, that was issued. But Lee would like to say something, and
Can I speak now? You wanna wait till,
speak now. Yeah, go ahead.
all right. you want
I'm
me to
going
start?
to, I'm going to defer the rest of it until you're on the floor a little later, Lee.
All right, on the letter to Lowe's, that was on the town's behalf, because Andy told me they were engineered trusses, they look pretty good. I went over there, they're not engineered, I went, called Lowe's, sent a letter to Lowe's, he couldn't produce it, so he sat down with me, and we went over doing 2x8 rafters instead of trusses. I don't know if he's done anything with it on that portion, so he's gonna go to rafters instead of using his, I guess, handmade trusses, because I couldn't get the documentation on it. That was for you, Mr. Lucier. Also, the owner of the building has to send me a letter, it's right in Attorney St. Ange's documentation, they have to send me a letter so I can go and inspect that third floor, and we haven't received that yet.
What is that we're inspecting, if you don't mind my asking?
That it's been vacated?
Yes, vacated, or if you look on the list, there was a couple items that needed to be addressed, and then, again, it's the owner's responsibility. And St. Ives also said he wants a letter from that owner so I can go back over there.
Can I ask a question?
Well, yeah, I'd like to, the reason, I see this is public comment, so the interaction between the board and everybody else here, I'd like to, we're gonna address Lee a little later on anyway.
Okay.
Probably doesn't answer all your questions
No,
at this point,
no,
Dan,
it
but-
actually creates more.
Yeah, let me get to item 9 tonight, and we can address more of those concerns and questions.
Okay.
I'd rather do it there. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Would there be further public comment this evening? Thank you all very much. Item number 4 is approval of minutes. In your packet, you'll have minutes dated September 17th, 2012. Board of Selectmen minute meetings, vote is required. I'm looking for a motion on the floor this evening.
So moved.
Would I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Would there be discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, so carried. Under item number 5, petitions and communications, letter dated October the 4th, 2012, from Attorney Edwin Higgins regarding the encroachment on town property and his clients, Michael Dan and Paul Lucier. You've seen the letter is in your packet. There is an interest. He's advising us that in the event any formal consideration is given to the sale of any portion of the town property, that his clients would wish to participate in a submission of an offer to purchase the same. And I think you've read through the note. He's been supplied with a recent A2 survey of a portion of the town property, prepared by J&D Civil Engineers. That depicts an apparent chain link fence encroachment that I understand was erected by an adjacent owner. We have communicated, he has communicated with Attorney St. Ange, and a copy of this letter was sent along to him for his purposes as well, so.
Can I make a comment, Pete, on this?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that time that the board acts upon this matter.
Amen.
I feel that we, you know, we've been discussing it for a number of years, and it's been to our attorney, it's been to his attorney. The board at the last meeting stated that we weren't interested in selling the property.
And
So if we're not interested in selling the property, I think it's about time we send him a letter stating that, give him 30 days to remove the fence. If he doesn't remove it, then I think the town should remove it. I think we've reached that point now, that we've wasted a lot of our time discussing this. The attorneys have made their opinions known to us in regards to both sides, and I think that we should put it on the agenda next month, or put it at the end of this, and deal with it as a board, and move on it, and be done with it.
Mr. St. Onge has been advised the board's thoughts as of our last meeting, and I don't know if there's anything additional, Doug, that's come forward from Bill.
The only thing is, I mentioned this letter that came forward, and that just to bring it to the boards first before
Yeah.
he goes forward with the next step.
So I think, Barney, coming up with this, I think we're close to that solution that you're talking about.
I hope we do it before winter flies, so we can get the fence out of the ground. You know, I mean, I think, you know, I think that, if not this month, I would definitely put it on our next agenda. I would ask that it be put on our next agenda in that particular fashion, that a motion is be put on to remove that fence after 30-day notice, a registered letter to both the owner and his attorney, that the town's gonna move on it within 30 days. I think that we've reached that point at this point.
Very good. Thank you,
Can we
Barney.
make a motion to that effect now, that?
Well,
the
I'd like to be able to follow the letter of the law, and are we certain that's the letter of the law?
Well, that the issue be directed to Attorney St. Onge, towards the effect of sending a notice to the property owner to remove the fence within 30 days, or the town will take action to remove the fence and secure it as our property. Does that sound
And
like
that's
a
in the
motion?
form of a motion.
Yeah, make a motion to
I'll
that
second
effect.
that.
I have a second on the motion. Further discussion.
My only concern is that, and I think it should be done, don't get me wrong, I think it should be done, but I am not sure that we can, if they'll have enough time to wrap up the legal stuff by the next meeting.
Well,
I don't
yes,
know, I don't know.
my
The
concern
courts
is
don't move fast, that's
following
the only
the-
thing
Well,
that's
no, this would be, I think, in advance of going to court, you would be well, Bill, first of all, we're now putting it in Bill's hands.
Yes.
Would be for him to look into exactly what the procedure is, to begin drafting the letter. The letter would probably say, if this is not done, we will do this and or initiate court proceedings.
Okay,
That
maybe
would be
that's-
part of,
yeah,
that's
okay.
why, that's why I'm saying that he begin the process to the effect of doing this.
But,
Okay, that's fine.
Just gotta, it's our land.
Right,
Exactly.
Yeah, why do
Right,
we have
exactly.
to, 30
Follow
days is
lawyers.
okay, but it's our land.
right, exactly.
It may be his fence, but it's our land. We have the right to go on our land and remove that fence.
Exactly.
We really do.
Well, I
But
think you
that's
did a
our
lot on
fence.
it yourself, talking
Yeah.
to the homeowner. I think we
Yeah.
tried, I think the board, especially as far as zoning goes, has talked to the homeowner and addressed this issue to him and did everything possible. I don't see where we can go any further as a board other than move
Right.
forward regardless of which way it goes. If we gotta go to court, which I don't think we have to.
I don't
but
think we do either.
I think that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried. Item 6 is reports of standing committees. Almer, General Government Committee. Go ahead, I'll let you take over.
No problem. House numbering, the government committee is still working on those. We have not had another meeting, and Doug, you can
Right.
summarize a little.
I've moved forward and I've set up a meeting with Chief Hayes and Deputy Chief Kanicki on Thursday to go over the blight ordinance and any concerns they have. I've also had discussions with Norm Perrin, Fire Marshal, in terms of his concerns if he was named as one of the agents. So after the meeting with Chief Hayes and Deputy Chief Kanicki, I'll probably be able to come back to the committee with their concerns. The other thing that we have to do is based on the new law that went into effect on October 1, I think it gives more legal rights to person that's impacted by the blight ordinance, so that has to be folded into the
Addressed, yeah.
so. And I was thinking, is it possible to get the general government committee together on the 29th?
Mid-November.
There's 5 weeks in October. We get an extra
I'm
week.
in.
7?
Sure.
7?
Yep. Did we wanna have, anybody else join us that night too? I know, no, I think it was just the general government committee at this point.
Right.
Maybe Attorney Sanders?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. That touches bases, touches base with everything you have going on.
Good.
Very good. Item 7, reports of special committees, the Putnam Feasibility Study Group.
Joint meeting with the WPCA on
The 18th.
The 18th,
Thursday
5
at
o'clock.
5 o'clock here.
Very good, thank you. Item B, Wheel Grader Contract Review Committee update. Doug?
The committee has met twice. We had a very good meeting between the committee and the representatives from Wheelgrader this past, whatever day it was. And the thrust of the what they wanted to do in terms of extension of the ground lease has basically, they've come to an agreement on that, and now it's just the details in terms of that have to be worked out in terms of how that actually gets implemented. And so there are some questions there in terms of the actual implementation steps that are necessary to bring this back to the Board of Selectmen before it goes to the town meeting.
Very good, Doug, thank you.
Is that basically the thrust?
Questions?
Yeah, I think the next meeting is the 30th.
The 30th.
Doug, are we gonna get a chance to review that contract before we give it to the board?
Right, yes.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing on the 30th is you should be aware of that at 4:30, they have started a ash recycling. They have a mobile piece of machinery on site already, and they have this is being worked out with the state of Connecticut to determine if this is workable. So the committee's been invited to go out and
Observe.
see it in operation.
And essentially what that's doing is taking more of the metals out of the ash, and they can actually recycle those metals.
Yeah, it actually goes after the non-ferrous metals.
Yeah.
And there's no market, metals are so small, there's no place in the United States to take them. They have to ship them back to Europe to sell them, but they say it's a feasible alternative.
Yeah.
Can we get to drive the machine?
This is European technology, and they've had it in Europe for 20 years. I think, what is it, Belgium
Yeah.
or Netherlands?
Germany?
Yeah, Netherlands.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Item 8 is Economic and Community Development Report. Before we start, Delphi, I just want to thank you for a wonderful weekend. We spent some time here in Putnam on Providence Street to celebrate the Grinzel family and the benches that have been erected. And, I want to say I was so impressed to see those benches, and so impressed to see the people that turned out to celebrate the lives of both men that were such a big asset to Putnam. And Follow the 50s on Sunday was again just a special event and tribute. And I know how much hard work that you put into that. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate the effort that you put in. And you've made a big difference in this community.
Oh, well, thank you. It's nice that Putnam can host those kind of things because we do have the infrastructure with the band shell, the river trail, the farmer's market. So it's pretty exciting. First of all, my apologies for not getting this report to you sooner. And Denise, believe me, has been all over me for the past week. Due diligence on, Delphi, you gotta get it to me, gotta get it to me. So I did do it today. My apologies.
It's nothing like what she does to me. So.
Okay.
And I'm right in her office.
Yeah. Under the redevelopment agency, the community development block grant, the $300,000 application has been submitted to the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development for housing rehab for a low and moderate income community. We await news of that award. We'll probably be hearing it sometime in November. We have just today received notification that there were no objections for release of funds and certification pertaining to the environmental review for the activity, and there is a 15-day objection period that people are allowed to comment, and there were no comments, so it goes to the next phase. Providence Streetscape, again, the Grinzel family dedication took place on Saturday. Approximately 65 people were in attendance to appropriately thank the family for sharing their legacy of giving to our community. The Susan Wayne Center has graciously taken the time to clean up our newly installed pocket parks and have asked for mulch to be purchased to keep down the weed growth. The town administrator is looking into that possibility, and perhaps maybe from the Board of Selectmen, a thank you note would be appropriate from the mayor, because they have clearly put in days of work in all of our 3 pocket parks, and it does look much, much better. Thank you. Strategic planning, the Putnam Redevelopment Agency and the Economic Community Development Commission have recently discussed opportunities and timelines to develop and implement a strategic plan for our community development. Because of the temporary absence of chair and vice chair of the ECD Commission, meetings have been postponed for several months. Our chair, Don St. Ange, has taken a new position with the hospital as COO, so he is asked to take a couple months off, and we'll let him do that so he doesn't resign. And our vice chair, who would take his stead in his absence, is going to have a baby at the beginning of November. And also a public plea to the community, if anyone would like to volunteer their time, 8 o'clock meetings in the morning for economic and community development. We're a fun group. You have to bring your own coffee, but we're all set. Subordination requests, several requests have been received from housing rehabilitation recipients for subordination of loans due to refinancing opportunities. In order for subordination to be granted, the property owner must provide a current appraisal and demonstrate how the funds can be allocated for the subordination. 20% of equity must remain on the property after all allocations are accounted for, as well as all property taxes and water and sewer are current. Rehabilitation files have been culled for grant releases. 12 were found to be ready for release and sent to town council for appropriate documentation, and an additional 10 projects will be due for release at a later date. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting us use your office because all our files are there. Under Economic and Community Development, Municipal Brownfields Pilot Program, we have received 4 RFP respondent proposals for Phase 1 of Cargill Falls Mill Redevelopment Project. Respondents include Weston and Sampson, CME and Associates, Environ International Corporation, and Fuss and O'Neill. We are conducting comprehensive analysis to determine, to make sure that all respondents' information is comparable before awarding an interview. A project like this, it's so easy to get apples to oranges with whatever they're coming, so we want to take our time and make sure that it's a good comparative analysis. Overall services will provide engineering, environmental, and architectural services for the remediation and demolition of 6 non-essential buildings, which is about 152,000 square feet, including hazardous building material and utility determination, disconnection, and abandonment. Other associated services include site investigation and structural evaluation to evaluate unstable and unsafe structures and associated design development. And these are all very at a kind of a low ceiling overview. It is $500,000. When you look at hazardous material remediation and demolition, it eats it up quite fast. Steep, a self-standing information kiosk has been purchased for the river trail to replace damaged information signage from the original trail, which was set up approximately 20 years ago. The first Story Walk book has been installed and promoted at the Health Quest event held on Sunday. All approvals have been received for the Story Walk initiative from the Planning Commission and the Putnam Recreation Commission, and I thank them for that. Also, I will be going, this isn't included in the report, but at the next planning meeting, I will be going for permission for municipal improvements for our public art. We have the 2 sculptures that were donated, and we will be presenting to the Planning Commission. The dog, as you see, is already up, as a temporary, it's not permanent because we don't have permission yet. And we have a very large structure, which is, it's called For People, it's like a family holding hands, and that has been donated by an anonymous donor. And that should be erected maybe sometime in spring. But that will be Putnam's first major public art pieces. EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant, preliminary discussions are taking place regarding projects to submit for EPA Brownfield funding for assessment and petroleum cleanup. A coalition grant will be submitted with the participating towns of Putnam, Killingly, and Thompson. A memorandum of agreement documenting the coalition site selection process must be in place before any expenditures are funded, with one of the towns as a lead applicant. Probably this town will be Killingly. They have the largest capacity to do that. But I will be coming before the Board of Selectmen on the November 5th meeting with a memorandum of understanding proposal with the town of Killingly for your approval. So I've already mentioned this to Doug. I don't think the town has done something like this other than the enterprise corridor, which was done many years ago through economic development offices along the 395 corridor. The 88 Main Street facade project, all project work is on schedule. Connecticut Main Street Investment Fund, the office has applied for $500,000 grant through the Main Street Investment Fund based on the premise that area should be a thriving center for commercial and social activity. The projects include Putnam River Trails extension and the Pomfret Street sidewalk rehabilitation. And that's approximately 1,700 square linear feet of sidewalk. Connecticut Main Street Preservation and Place Grant. We just received that this new round has come up. Previous awards that our office got were for the walkability audit and for the parking and build-out analysis for downtown Putnam. We have to submit a pre-application. A full application is due on November 20th. Eligible projects are, and I welcome any input from any one of you, design guideline, development, design audit of downtown or neighborhood commercial district, facade improvement planning, studies and renderings only. We can't do the actual bricks and mortar. Application for Preserve America status. Doug, you and I talked about that maybe 4 years ago. Restoration planning for historic municipal buildings, meaning like this building. Development of downtown master plan, niche market study, or infill conceptual plan, or development of district wayfinding and signage program. And we've actually been having conversations with Putnam Business Association on that. As an added thing that I just added, because I forgot to, industrial park updates. A letter of intent has been received, and a purchase and sale agreement has come since then. I am conferring with our aquifer protection official to make sure that that is an allowable use, because this lot is directly over the aquifer protection area. Ongoing projects, community garden. Any Boy Scout troops who want to clean up our community garden upcoming this fall would be a wonderful project, and maybe be involved in adopting a garden in the spring.
Okay.
Should be awesome. Putnam Foundry cleanup, sidewalk planning and funding, the launch party for the Northeast Cultural Alliance, and you will all be getting invitations to that, is November 3rd and First Fridays.
Questions of Delphi? Renee.
Couple of comments. Reading the section of your report about the preservation of place grant and in some of those potential areas, it has me incredibly excited. Since we now have a planner, we can actually work on something like a downtown master plan design guidelines,
Right.
which are things that when I was on planning, I thought would be very important, both not just for downtown, but you know, for the entire town to start looking at design guidelines. And I think it would be phenomenal if we could get money to aid with the master plan and starting with some design guidelines. Because there's, I think you and I have talked before about the lack of any real limitations on how the area around the river can be developed, and things like that. And I would love to see getting some outside money to help
Right.
maybe fund some additional hours for him to devote to that.
And understanding too, the design guidelines are only guidelines. They
Right.
cannot be, regulatory by any
Right.
means, but many developers come into any municipality and they wanna know what you want.
Right.
Otherwise, when you build a CVS or a Walmart or anything like that, they're gonna, what I call, take from the bottom drawer.
Yeah.
They're gonna do the cheapest design first, the cheapest facade first, unless you tell them what you really want, because they wanna fit in. They wanna be in your community, they do wanna fit in. So it just never helps to ask. So ask them, we deserve better. We deserve better than the bottom drawer. So bring it up a notch.
Yep.
Even if it's third from the top. You can't hit the top, you know? So,
Delph, just on 88 Main, you talked about the fact that it's on schedule. If it continues on schedule as planned, when might we see work people there?
by the, everybody loves 88 Main, honest to God. I can tell you the last report that I gave to the state, which was about, just before I went on vacation. The conceptual design was 100% complete, the schematic design was 60% complete. According to the contract, they are supposed to have all construction done by the end, December 31st, 2012. We have the ability to extend that budget and to extend, and we have done that with Steve many, many times. We knew that the awardee of this was extremely busy, but he's the best of the best. I have not heard that it will not be completed by then. The construction documents are the next phase, and then we award that construction. So we're as close as can be. What we need to see is scaffolding. Then everybody will believe that it's really happening.
What if this weekend?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
On a first Friday.
Yeah.
First Friday we did.
I got a couple questions. Delpha, on that community block grant, that's the 300,000 in program income that you had the public hearing on, that you went back to the state, right? Out of curiosity, would they have allowed any of that 300,000 for sidewalks? In program income, in the program income phase, that when you asked to spend down the money,
Yep.
could have any of that money been spent on sidewalks?
It is an allowable use.
Okay.
Absolutely. When we had that discussion with the project manager here, his answer to that was, these are the eligible allowable uses. He said, your greatest need is housing rehabilitation. If you have 27 families on your waiting list, we are encouraging you to spend it on housing rehabilitation. So I took that as apply for housing rehabilitation. Absolutely.
Okay.
In the next month or two, once I get a letter, there may be some funds opening up through another account that we can use specifically for sidewalks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question.
And I will call you first, Barney.
On the subordinate request, that will still put us second in line behind the bank, like we usually
No.
do?
No.
Still first?
No.
Still first?
Well, no, it would jump us down a little bit, but we are allowed to do that because they still have 20%
Of
equity in
equity,
the house.
yeah.
And the big picture when you're looking at subordinations is you want them to be able to stay in their home.
I
If
totally
they're-
agree.
If they're refinancing, so, and in talking with town council on this, that's kind of the overall mission, is to make sure that you get some money back if you can't get everything back.
Okay,
So
so if
it's-
they don't meet that 20%
We don't
threshold?
subordinate.
You don't, okay,
Absolutely,
okay.
yeah.
Next question. Just on that municipal brownfield grant, I know about that, but the next question, that the brownfield assessment grant, how much is that for? Just out of curiosity, what is the three towns applying for? How much? $1 million, $5 million?
It's 600,000.
600,000.
Right. And in the meetings that we have, it is extremely difficult, and we can divvy that up any way we want. And the reason that we're doing a memorandum of agreement is because several years ago, Norwich was the lead agency, and Norwich and Sprague formed a coalition to apply for the brownfields. They didn't have a memorandum of understanding. Norwich spent all the money. Craig didn't get any. So, the EPA has learned from that, the district that we're under, which is District 1 out of Boston, they're mandating that some kind of an agreement is in place. But that doesn't mean that each town gets $200,000, because you may have one petroleum cleanup that you're looking at, and you have to have, and that could only be maybe 50,000, and then one project in a town is 300,000. So we are actually looking to form a brownfields something committee, and we are going to have a representative of all three towns. We're going to have a representative from the Northeast District Department of Health, because what they do is their support is extremely important in doing the testing part, and whether it be asthmatic numbers and that kind of thing. We haven't even approached NDBH yet.
Yeah.
So, and also RC&D, which is an environmental oversight committee. Thompson has Thompson Together, which gets it with the environmental protection and that kind of thing. Putnam does not have one. Thompson does not have a group of volunteers that support that kind of thing. So that's what we're trying to be fair with all, but we've got to get some of these projects done. So I'm going to put in 2 projects. I think Killingly is putting in 1 project and a small petroleum cleanup, and I think Thompson has 3 projects they have to put in. So it's really, when it comes to if we are awarded with the grant, then we figure out exactly the budget as to how we can divvy it up.
One more question.
Sure.
On a Main Street investment fund for the sidewalks, the 1,700 feet, now is that gonna go all the way up to the hospital?
No.
Is that gonna make it to the hospital?
No.
Is that from Kennedy Drive up to the existing sidewalks and at the bridge?
It's going approximately from the intersection of Kennedy Drive past that 3rd mill house on the left-hand side. Right.
Thank you.
And we can't do any further than that until somebody decides whether, because of the engineering grant that we got quite a few years ago, there'd be too many switchbacks across the road, because there's a cliff that hangs off the left-hand side. And you have to either widen the road, or it has to be a switchback to have the sidewalk on the opposing, right. And then you would have to cross back again on that sharp corner. So it's very challenging to put a sidewalk up there. Yeah.
It's approximately 1,700 feet,
Yeah,
linear feet or so.
but please don't quote me on that, because I really don't remember off the top of my
get
head.
it, we'll recall.
I know.
Thank you, Delpha.
You're welcome.
I just have one comment.
Sure.
I want to say, for the Follow 50, as I was walking down the river trail, I want to say how great the story walk was. I thought that was really, really nice. So if anybody hasn't seen the story walk, please do take the time, bring the children to see it. It's really good.
Yeah, and what we're looking for is comments from families and things like that. You start a story at the farmer's market, and it ends at Kennedy Drive, so none of the young children have to cross a major intersection to finish the book. If that's, we're encouraging to run, walk, ride your bikes, and read a story. It's elementary age appropriate, and we brought the project to the elementary school literacy group, and they picked the book. I don't get to pick.
It's great for something.
Yeah, so it's fun. And hopefully, we can share it with other towns. It's a no-brainer, very, very little cost, and we're putting it under the STEEP grant for as many books as we can to run our money.
Thank you. Oh, could you explain
Sure.
the story?
The story walk is actually, a book is chosen, the book is taken apart. We put one of the books in the library, the Putnam Library, the school library, both will have one. We take the book apart, laminate it, and depending on the number of pages, every 40 feet or 180 feet, there is a page, and it's posted on a stick, and they just walk. And so it's encouraging families to walk on the river trail, be together, and literacy.
It'd be good for our younger scout.
Sure, and I know that the preschool is actually going to use it as a field trip, because a bus can safely turn around in the farmer's market and that kind of thing, load up, drop off, and then go back. And I didn't invent this, I stole it from the Vermont Bicycling Coalition and Kellogg something library. in Vermont. And I heard about it on a conference call from Seattle, Washington. So,
Pretty cool.
yeah, and Alma had heard about it in Massachusetts being done.
Yeah, they do it in
Yeah.
Worcester also. Just one thing, some of the pages, I don't know if you noticed here, they need to be stapled.
I know, my husband and I did it Friday night, and when you pound, the staples come out, and I don't have a regular hand stapler, he did them all with our electric staple gun, so I've gotta get a staple gun.
Maybe the town could do it? The town has a staple gun?
We must have a staple gun around someplace.
I'll handle it, I'll handle it.
Yeah, you don't wanna do anything with the pages.
Thank you, Delpha, so much.
I got one more question.
Thank
All right, let me let these folks go, and again, let me give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get launching in
Thank you. Item 9 is building official, Lee, I know you're here, so you want to give us an update to where we are?
You have my report. The only thing I need to mention is that Walmart's a mess, but they promise it's gonna be nice.
I've had a lot of people, Lee, ask me about when Walmart will be completed, and I think the next September is the date that I've been informed or given last, so it's a hardship getting in and out of there, and it's gonna be a mess for a while, so be patient. Yeah.
Can I ask Lee that question I want to ask him?
Oh, sure.
Lee, on that apartment complex with the cease and desist,
Yeah.
out of curiosity, under that recent court ruling that I read, is it now almost to the point where you have to get a search warrant to, say if the homeowner refuses to allow you up there?
Yeah.
At that point, do you have to apply for a Mincy search warrant?
I believe so.
Have you ever applied for a search warrant?
No.
I hope. No, I mean, I'm just asking that question.
The gentleman that owns that house, as you well know, is a foreigner. You know, he's hard to understand. I'm sure he would let me up there, but from Attorney St. Ives, they want a letter from the owner to let me in there. It's in the attorney's hands now. I mean,
Is that because of the recent court ruling in regards to building officials going into homes or on properties? The one that they ruled that you basically almost gotta get a search warrant as.
that's a zoning, not
Oh,
building,
that's a
it's
zoning. Okay.
But I can't answer that, Lonnie. I don't know
Okay,
if that's.
no, I read that it was a
Yeah.
zoning, I'm sorry, it was zoning, okay.
Lee, we talked a little bit earlier about it still being a 3-family and it should be a 2. Are you aware of anything over there that's?
The last time, I can't remember pronounce the guy's name, Andy was in.
Yeah.
The reason why we got this letter, I wrote a letter to Lowe's, Lowe's. And so I wrote the letter, told him to go to Lowe's to get the engineer. Well, the guy at Lowe's said, I'm not giving you that. So I sat down with him at the table, showed him I went out of my element, showed him how to lay out a rafter at the table, 2x8 rafter. This is what you have to use because you can't get the documentation for the trusses.
On the engineered trusses.
On the engineered trusses.
Yeah.
So that's the last time I've seen this gentleman. And he wrote a letter saying that he's gonna use rafters versus trusses. It's in the file. We got a letter from his uncle or his nephews saying that he's gonna construct the garage.
Has any further construction?
Nothing's been.
Am I allowed to say anything?
Yep, just one more question, Dan, before I go
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
As far as a safety issue goes, at this point, Lee, are we within guidelines, safety issues there?
It's under construction. I don't.
Okay, all right.
I mean, he doesn't, theoretically, the trusses that are there, he can put rafters right alongside of them and leave the trusses there. You know what I mean? As long as he does the 2x8 rafters, he's well in code violation.
Within the code. Yep, the building codes.
Yeah.
Dan, you had a question for Lee?
That's what was gonna be my question is, the trusses that are there, if they're not engineered, how would you go about putting the rafters?
You just
You
sister them.
attach them?
You just sister them up right alongside them there.
Like they're not there, yeah.
Yeah, like they're not there.
Can I have one more question?
Sure.
Did the attorney,
That's
on
three.
a cease and desist order, hey, you get.
He gets carried away sometimes.
No.
On a cease and desist order,
Yeah.
did the attorney give you any guidance, or is there anything within statute where if the family's still living there,
Yeah.
do we have to go to, did he give you any guidance, do we have to go to Superior Court, get an
This-
injunction, or what's the process?
What happens is, I wrote the cease and desist. Now it's up to you people if you wanna fine, whatever you wanna do. If he invites me over with a letter and there's only 2 families living there, it's a moot point. But we haven't got a letter from, what's his, Andy?
Andy.
Andy.
Yeah.
We haven't got a letter. I mean,
I,
Why can't you get a hold of Andy and say, you wanna invite me over for lunch? So you can come look at your
I'm not
property.
eating that stuff. Anyways, I can do that, but he's gotta have a written document to put it in the file, which there's a huge file on it. You know what I mean, if you want me to call Andy,
I think we have to proceed along somewhere, so,
So that we can get a letter.
so we could know where we're at here.
And if we can't get the letter, then I think we have to do what we need to do to move forward.
That's fine.
But I think we have to.
If we have to start imposing fines and whatnot, that's what we have to do, make him take some action on it.
Would it be proper for Bill to draft a form letter that Andy could then sign
The right of entry.
without needing to, if he has issues with the language? If he was presented with a letter by Bill and said, this is what we need to be able to go in, I mean, he could just fill in his information and sign it, arguably, if that's something you think Bill would be
I
comfortable
think-
with.
I think my best way, I'll call Andy up and say, listen, come to the office,
We'll sit down,
we'll
draft.
sit down, draft up a letter, and let me go in.
That looks good, sounds good.
Can you let us know that that's been taken care of? Thank you.
Thank you.
Also,
Question, I think.
yeah, I do. The State of Connecticut Building Code was amended 104.6, it's a right of entry. Okay, it says, in accordance with the provisions of subsection D of section 29-261 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the building official or his assistant shall have the right of entry to such buildings or structures except single-family residences for the proper performance of his duties between the hours of 9 and 5, except that in the case of an emergency, he shall have the right of entry at any time if such entry is necessary in the interest of public safety. On receipt of information from the local fire marshal or from any other authentic source that any building in his jurisdiction due to lack of exit facilities, fire, deterioration, catastrophe, or other cause is in such condition as to be a hazard to any person or persons, the building official or his assistant shall immediately make inspections in accordance with the provisions of section 29-393 of the Connecticut General Statutes.
I think it's,
Can I comment on that?
Yes.
That's wonderful, but this is a zoning issue.
Right.
I thought you just said it wasn't zoning.
It's a zoning issue. It's a, remember the meeting we went to way back when, 3-family, 2-family? This is the issue. The little problems that he has that I saw as, put on my other hat, the building official, there's no life-threatening things on that.
Just that it's an illegal apartment.
Correct.
So you can do it illegally as long as you're not threatening anybody's life.
I don't think that's what he said. He said, we do not have the legal right to go in without a search warrant unless there is an issue of public safety. It's the same as a police's right in exigent circumstances. These are not exigent circumstances. We do not have reason to believe that there is an issue with regard to exit, with regard to condition of the building in terms of fire code. If it weren't for the fact that we don't allow a 3-family residence at that address, it might very well be entirely legal, but it is not allowed. therefore, this is a zoning issue.
Okay.
And if we took a right of entry without a warrant or without permission, we would be in violation of the law and subject to suit.
Again, a statement, I'm a cop without bullets.
Yeah,
I will get ahold of Andy tomorrow, I will go in there.
yeah. We have no reason to believe, and Lee just said, we have no reason to believe there is a public safety issue here. You can't just say, oh, I think there's a public safety issue, let's go in and check it out. That leads to lawsuits.
So the
It's
list,
an illegal search.
so on his inspection, anything that he found, it doesn't make a difference. On his inspection, where it says, he lists the illegal, not illegal, the electrical throughout the electrical must be breaker throughout panel, outlet switches need to be repaired by a licensed electrician. To me, that condones a fire hazard. Heating pipes need to be installed correctly insulated, not with socks. Need to use UL listed material. Sounds like a fire hazard. I mean, it goes on. Electrical outlet switches need repairs, thermostat not working, light fixture need repairs, illegal wiring under floor needs repaired. Floor throughout is not structurally sound. Tell me it's not a safety issue.
Lee, can you talk to our fire marshal about
I
this?
can talk, I'm gonna take care of this tomorrow.
Okay.
And could you please come to my office on Thursday rather than coming here and blowing up like 6 months in a row, trying to, you know.
Well,
what I mean?
nothing gets done,
nothing
just
gets
like
done.
the parking thing, nothing
Well,
happens here
I
at
mean-
these meetings, I'm sorry to say, but enough's enough. I mean, come on, let's step it up, you guys have the authority to take care of stuff, let's do it, like Barney said, let's get it done, 2.5 years is enough. You know, then you throw it in the lawyer's hands, oh my goodness, you might as well forget about it,
Thank you, everybody.
my goodness.
End of the conversation this evening.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thursday, I'll try to.
Item 10 is town administrator's report.
I'll make it quick. I've attended the Access meeting, that's our Regions Community Action Agency.
back and
I've
forth.
worked with Putnam. There's been a lot of meetings related to the Quinebaug Regional Technology Park and the Regional Y, including how about going about the transfer of land to the Greater Hartford YMCA for the Regional Y. We're in the process of completing the state's completing the SECR environmental impact requirements for the project. And we're having engineering evaluation done for extending water and sewer utilities to the overall project site area. And we are looking at a proposed subdivision of the Wheelbrae property, showing the wide parcel, roads to the park, and carving out a small portion for the existing one-lane bridge that Wheelbrae is currently using for access to the ash landfill. Tomorrow, we're having all the parties together, everybody in one room, and that will include the state giving us a update on the SEPA process. We're halfway through the process according to their schedule. They have authorized going out to doing the archaeological digs that have been surveys that have to be accomplished. And we are going to be talking to the Y because at this point now, in order we go ahead with the subdivision plans, we have to have specific plans available to show where the building's going to be, where the parking is going to be, the utilities, and the recreational, with all the various fields are going to be on the plan. Don Johnson, our planner, will review the applicable zoning and subdivision requirements and site design standards for the park, and this goes along with what the zoning commission has been doing for a number of period of time in terms of reviewing their zoning regulations, coming up with new zoning regulations. Our engineering firm that we hired to do the design of the bridge will be there to discuss the status. We have J&D discussing the subdivision plan because they've done the overall survey for the property. Sil Pauly will be there and he'll discuss the studies needed to bring water and sewer connections to the entire regional technology park. And at the end of the meeting, it's hoped we'll develop timeframes for completion of all those tasks. Come up with the task and show what the timeframes would be. Moving on to the WPCA, I do attend the monthly progress meeting on the wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation project. The project is still on schedule. They're planning to have this completed by March. And I have drafted an informational sheet and survey that actually has already gone out to Class 3 and Class 4 food preparation establishments. Those are the ones that are might be at risk in terms of generating fats, oil, and grease. And there are of course, there are new state regulations that they have to come into compliance with, but it's on our backs as the WPCA to enforce that. So we wanted to go out on a voluntary basis to find out from those establishments what they have done to comply with the new regulations, and we'll take it from there. It basically gives us a baseline to know where each of these establishments. Some of them might not be required to come under the regulations because they don't. For instance, Subway has already come to us and says they don't actually cook there. It's all prepackaged. You know, it gets thrown in as a package, so they don't generate any grease. So based on experience with other towns, we signed a waiver to allow them to not have to comply with the FOG requirements. And then there's a number of state and also federal reports that have to be done in a timely fashion, mainly on a quarterly basis, and we're talking, end of September, end of December, end of March, and what's the other one, end of June. So they have to be completed. I take the responsibility for completing the consent order report every quarter, and then our engineers, our consulting engineering firms for the error reports, I make sure that I keep their feet to the fire in terms of getting those done. And that's still for the Wellfields project, and then we have two projects under ERA for the grant and the loan for the wastewater treatment plant. I do still continue to attend the monthly meetings of the Economic Development Commission and Redevelopment Agency and report on anything that comes under my purview. The High School Building Committee, Barney has attended those meetings, but at the third meeting, they did adopt a timeline, and their timeline basically meets the requirements under the state Board of Education for submitting an application for funding, and this would lead up to where they would develop the educational specifications, have those signed off by the Board of Ed, develop the building description and construction schedule, come up with a cost estimate, and then seek the necessary recommendation from the town departments. In this case, it would be the Board of Selectmen, the Board of the Planning Commission, and the Board of Finance before it could be taken to a town meeting. And because of the size of the project, it would have to go to referendum. So they would be looking to a April referendum deadline, which would give them, and again, pending the outcome of the town vote, they then would be able to submit the funding application to the state by the June 30th, 2013. The committee has already toured the building, and now they're actively reviewing the various options contained in the feasibility study for renovate as new. Foreclosures and the foreclosures list review. After the last meeting of the Board of Selectmen, I did convene a meeting of the revenue collector, the assessor, planner. Unfortunately, Lee could not make it, and also Delphi was in attendance to review the properties eligible for foreclosure. And so under the policy that has been adopted, the mayor's office reviews these policies with the various town departments about zoning, environmental, or other condition issues that may affect the town's interest. And after that review, the project shall be sent to the attorney to follow through with foreclosure. From the list that you were provided with at the last meeting, there were a total of 36 accounts. They were in arrears to the town, just on the town side, $417,231, and then there was various dollars that were owed to the WPCA. The recommendation of the group that met to look at these parcels were to go after the, out of the 36 accounts, to go after 4 which are commercial industrial, go after 6 that are the multifamily, and go after 15 that are the vacant land. And just to test the market, they've also put 2 single-family residences on the list to go after. So if that is in accordance with what the Board of Selectmen would like, then the revenue collector will assign these to attorneys to start the process. And then project status, we are reviewed qualification statements under the RFQ for engineering architectural firms for, there's so many projects going on in town. Delphi had one on her list, but we also had the water main replacement, relining, the Recreation Road and Woodstock Avenue bridges, and the library. And a short list of firms to be interviewed has been developed, and we should be interviewing those firms over the course of the next month. And I just wanted to let you know that there are towns throughout the region that are getting word from the Veterans Office that they've been awarded steep grants. Putnam, to date, has not received word. I think I will be calling Representative Rivera's office in the morning to see if he has any indication when other awards will be coming. So.
Very good. Questions of Doug, anybody?
One question, Doug, on
Sure.
on that water main issue. that gonna become a real issue, that water main getting a right-sized main to that YMCA?
No, it shouldn't be. It's just a matter, we have two ways we can bring it in. One is off of Quinnipiac Avenue, and then the other one would be off of Park Street. And the question would be is where would we bring the easement? If we brought it, and again, we'd have to work with the state of Connecticut, if we brought it down the exit ramp,
Yeah.
Get an easement within the exit ramp and then bring it right across the bridge, then we're all set. And the reason that the engineer is looking at both ways is when you loop the water mains, it improves the quality of your water. You get better circulation with the water. So that's what we're looking at. Again, it might come down to a cost factor that, what the cost will be initially, so we might just take a look at one avenue to bring it in. Initially, it was going to be done under the sewer treatment plant rehabilitation, but because of, not post overruns, but because of change orders that they've had and certain things that they wanted to add to get done at the plant that were not on the original drawings, we've had to cut that out of the project. So this would have to be done, once we get the cost, we'd have to be able to find ways of being able to finance it. And again, the question might be is, the immediate needs might be the YMCA, so in that case, they might have to.
Pony up.
Yeah.
I know it was an issue that.
It's a 6-inch line that comes in through to the water treatment plant. Whether that 6-inch line could serve just the YMCA, they do a lot of, they need a lot of water there, so.
Doug, I'm sorry. Yeah, just on the technology park, tomorrow's meeting, and just as a part of the information, are the newts and the bunkers been
The
involved?
newts are involved in the bunkers. They've both been invited to the meeting. It's getting to the point now where we have to start really sitting down with them and going over the expectations from the town side and the property owner side.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Unfinished business, Quinnipiac Regional Technology Park and Bridge, I think we've gone over that pretty well. Item B is the Triad Municipal Smoking Ordinance, and I saw Michael here. How are you, Michael?
Hi. My apologies go out. I do not have the, I didn't make it to rec last month. I do have half the pictures done and get the rest this weekend, so I will definitely have them by next week.
Thank you, Michael. I just, just as a note, when I was over at the park yesterday, I was disappointed to see the amount of cigarette butts that were actually around our stage at Performance Center. Disappointed me to see that. And, so it almost made me want to post signs, no smoking yesterday. So, but thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Charter revision continues on our agenda. That will be on the agenda as we move forward. Item 12, new business, is consideration of the assessment for 303 Kennedy Drive. And I see our assessor right out there. Could you come forward and give us a little insight, please?
Okay, hopefully this is our last court case. I haven't had any filed lately. The owners of 303 Kennedy Drive, it's the gas station, kind of, that sits near.
Price check.
Yeah, this one you got your bonus, points.
Coffee Express.
Yeah, it was the Coffee Express. They did not sue in '08 when we had our revaluation. They purchased the property in March of '09 for $700,000. We valued it as of October 1st at $634,000. And they came before our Board of Assessment Appeals this spring and asked it to be reduced to $200,000.
That is,
No. And, so then they took us to court. We went, in front of Judge Levine in the end of August, and they were still contending they wanted $200,000 on it. And, anyway, when you're in front of mediators, they always like to give some, they go, they move lawyers and they move, everybody goes to Tim Burton to do things. So it ended up that they kept saying $200,000 and Bill St. Ange and I kept saying, no, we're not, we're not. Okay. And then they said, well, but the $700,000 included, the sale price included all the goodwill and the personal property
property and all the, you know, the tangible stuff inside there, and I looked at the owner and said, I think not, I don't think you pay a conveyance tax to the town of Putnam and the state of Connecticut based on stuff that you didn't have to pay taxes on.
Oh,
You know? Yeah, that was just the real estate, but it was kind of like a nuisance thing. So Bill threw out that they want, then they talked about 50% off and then 20% off, and we finally got, so we ended up with that, the judge liked it, and they kind of, but looking like they weren't gonna get much, but we gave them 10% off the value. So that ended up taking like 63,460 off the value, which amounts to about $40,000, $44,000 in assessment. And they didn't ask for any refunds of the taxes paid, they will just adjust it off of the January installment if the board so feels that we should go through the stipulated agreement.
Motion to approve agreement.
A motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Thank you, Randy, great job.
Thank you, Randy.
In your packet, you have consideration of proclamation naming October 20th, 2012, Gertrude Chandler Warner Day in Putnam. Would I have a motion? Second. That motion is second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item C is accept the resignation of Republican member Fred Hettenberg from the library building member committee.
So moved.
With regret.
With regret, yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item D is accept the resignation of Republican Fred Hettenberg from the Economic Development Commission and Redevelopment Agency.
So moved.
Second. Okay. I have a motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, again, with regret. Sorry to lose Fred. Item E is approval of bills.
Make the motion, we say I'll approve them.
I have a motion and a second
Second.
to pay all approved bills. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so carried. Item F is all the business lawfully come before such meeting. Hearing none. Item 13 is public comment. Yes, sir.
John Perry, 11 Wall Street, Richland. I'd like to know why the town doesn't care about the safety of my family. You want me to take the fence down, but you won't put up a safety barrier to protect my home from people crashing into it. I'd like to show you what happened this week in the parking lot. Almost took the pole down because a horse playing in the parking lot. You people are leaving me no choice.
Pete, if I may, I don't think the question is whether or not you can have a fence to protect your house. The issue is that your fence be within your actual
Well, see,
property
I don't
boundary.
have much property line on that side. You're running a parking lot that's under Parks and Recreation, which is posted in temporary parking, not full-time parking. Now, you people are backing me into a corner to call my attorney tomorrow to get a court order to shut that parking lot down.
They can do that.
I don't think
I can get
that's
an
really-
injunction.
Well, you can certainly petition to get an injunction. Whether or not you can get one is another story.
I've been fighting this since '07 when I petitioned the town about the parking lot. You guys have come up with policies. I tried to keep the Lucy's mother out of this, but you guys says we can't have favoritism. So now I'm being bullied by them. Oh my. Because on July 16th of this year, Mike Lucy stood up, used some language that was unnecessary. I've also sent the link over to my attorney so he can view that link, and then some of you members laughing about it in the background.
No, I don't remember
the video. You
John,
can
I
watch
tried
the
to
video.
work with you for years.
No, you guys haven't,
I've been up to your place numerous times. True? You and I
Because you
walked the
guys don't
property
wanna.
line. True?
you made promises, you
I
broke the
didn't make
promise.
any promise to you.
Maybe,
I never-
the past council
I
said
don't
they were gonna
think-
straighten this out.
We are straightening it out right
You
now.
made 2 policies, and they didn't even last a month.
We're taking care of it now. What can we do?
Straightening out doesn't necessarily mean straightening out in your favor.
When I talked to him, I asked him, if you want me to take the fence, fine. The town has concrete barriers with a 25-foot boundary, because I'm not gonna have cars parked up to my house again.
I think there's big railroad, some
They didn't
telephone
work.
poles there.
Because I was working with Cynthia Dunn on this before she got terminated. I have all the emails on the situation. The people that came to the games, who had trucks that had lift kits on them, were jumping the poles so they could park up to my house. That's when Mayor Vians gave me the permission to move it out, because he didn't think it was gonna be a problem. But unfortunately, the Lucy's made it a problem.
It's not, John, it's not your land.
Okay, but
it's
you're
not.
running a parking lot.
We're
You're running a parking
I
lot.
don't run a parking lot there.
There's been a parking lot there for
For
probably
years,
100 years.
before you
Joe.
ever moved there, it was a parking lot.
Without any issues.
There's been issues. It's because my father wouldn't let my mother pursue it,
Again, we don't know.
because
about
he
that.
didn't want the grief that I'm going through now.
John, the only thing I can tell you is, we've sought some action this evening. I think you know what this board's feelings are
Well,
at this
what are you
point.
gonna do about it?
And
You
I
gonna
think
protect
that, if you seek counsel or want to grant to your attorney at this point, that's what you have to do.
Well, you're leaving me no choice, and I'm gonna get the news stations down here and tell them how friendly this town is.
Do as you feel is right, John. I can't stop you.
And
You
if
have
you guys get a chance, do this. This is
You
another
have the,
harassment I get.
You have the right to free speech like anybody else does in this town.
Well, are you gonna put up something to stop the cars from
I
coming
can't
up to
tell
my...
you that we're gonna do anything at this point other than reclaim our property, John. We haven't discussed anything other than reclaiming our property tonight.
So I want a yes or no. Are you gonna do something to stop the cars from coming up to my house?
I am not gonna give you an answer to that this evening.
Okay, well, you leave me no
The
choice.
board has acted, which I believe is appropriately this evening. The property that you've encroached on is the town's property, and it is our intention to reclaim that property.
But I guess you don't care about my safety then.
Put your own fence up, John. It's not up to us.
Yeah,
You know?
how good is that gonna do? And I don't have my
Put
property in that
concrete
side.
wall if you want. What do you wanna do? I mean, we're doing the best we can. We've
No, you're
worked
not.
for you for a long
You're
time.
not even trying. You haven't tried.
I've
yet.
been up there numerous times. I tried to work with you many times. And you, but then after I leave, you won't let me come
Yeah,
back.
because
What do you want
Because
me
you
to do?
guys broke your promise.
I didn't break
It's
any
like
promise.
that night
I've never
we-
broke a promise to anybody in my life.
That parking committee you started, how far have you gotten with it? Nowhere. Nothing has been done. The policy, matter of fact, I asked you in the last meeting about the policy that's on that parking lot. Here's the policy that the Lucy's claimed I put on their car and fabricated. That was given to me by Cynthia Dunn. On December 20th, because of the meeting, John Smith's not here, so he knows about that. I got outvoted on that meeting, the time frame. That policy is still in effect except line 1.
Then we'd have to give it to Bill, let him look at it. We can't remember every single
Also,
policy that goes by.
the surveying that was done was illegal.
That's your opinion. You
No,
don't know any more than that.
Okay.
This is the airline trail, John.
section 300 code of ethics. You violated it. That was sent to me. My property is posted all the way around.
I don't know how this comes into play either, John, but we'd be happy to send it over to our attorney to review the documents you've given us.
So that surveying is illegal.
John,
Why-
a lot of that land is our property. You know, you're,
I'm not
the other
I'm not
landlord
claiming
has
the
a right to
property.
survey his property.
I'm saying, I'm not claiming
They
the
have a right to
property.
go on your property to do a survey.
That fence has been up for 4 years, so by
That
now,
doesn't make
so
any difference.
now with the new codes, you
No.
gotta get a warrant.
Not
I
on
don't
our
have to
own
have a warrant
property.
to move our own property.
That's our own property. Just because you put a fence up on it doesn't mean it's not still our property.
You haven't had that fence here for 20 years, with no adverse possession, so.
Well, I
even
think it's a
bigger.
shame that you people won't provide a safety buffer because you wanna have a parking lot there. I think it's a shame. Really, people should be ashamed of
If we
yourselves.
start protecting your property, we have to protect
Every
everybody.
parking lot I've looked in town that's near homes has fences.
You have a fence, all you have to do is put it back up.
What I'm trying to say is I only have a certain amount from my house over.
But that's not the town's problem. The town didn't make the decision that your land ends in a certain place. That's what you bought years ago, that's where your land line is.
Right, or that your house be built within X feet from the property line.
But you're running an illegal parking lot according to the charter of the town. It's only supposed to be temporary parking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're done with the, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Will there be further public comment this evening? Item 14 is adjournment. Would I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Comments? All those in favor say aye.